Right, guys. Right. So yesterday we mainly discussed right Django futures, right? Django futures, and here there are top 5 futures are there, right? Can you repeat now those futures, guys? Can you repeat those futures? Guys, can you repeat those futures now?
Versatile.
Right. Right.
Scalable.
One is the versatile style, right? One more is the
More
fast,
secure.
right? Going fast,
More secure.
Scalable.
right? More secure, right?
Fully
More
loaded.
secure, more secure.
Fully loaded.
Next one,
Scalable.
fully loaded, right? Fully loaded,
Fully development.
and you can say scalable, right? Scalable, right? Right, very good, right? Scalable. So these are the top 5 features of Django, right? So why it is called fast framework? Why it is called fast framework? Because it takes very less time to develop any kind of project, right? So because Django is fully loaded with a lot of default common components, that's why it takes very less time. That's why it's called fast framework. Next one, more secure, right? More secure means here there are some inbuilt packages are there regarding security. The main one is a CSRF token. The main one is a CSRF token. Can you now tell me now what is the stands for CSRF? What is the full form of CSRF? Just repeat now, what is the
Cross-site
right,
forgery.
Request forgery.
right, cross-site request, right?
Forgery.
Request forgery. Request forgery, right? Okay, about this one, we're going to discuss very clearly in the future classes. What is the meaning of the secure this token and where do we use token, right? This one we're going to see very clearly in the future class. Okay. Next one, fully loaded, right? The Django framework is loaded with a lot of common components, so it's called fully loaded, right? Next one, scalable. So why it is called scalable? Why it's called scalable? Tell me now, anyone? How you can say it's scalable? Scalable means the website must be in a position. The website must be in a position to handle any number of requests at a time. It should not become slow, or we don't need any other extra servers, right? So we don't need any extra servers. Extra, give an example. Just take this website name for example. Okay, right. So it is developed this year, for example, right? In this year it is developed. Now it is receiving the number of users for this one in this year is, just imagine now, 10,000 people. Suppose this 10,000 people are trying to use this at a time. Guys, someone is still unmute. Check the mic once, all of you. All of you, please check the mics. Surya, Vimla Surya, please check the mic. Surya, right? Thank you. Okay, fine. So suppose this is the website developed by using Django, for example, right? So in this case, imagine guys, now in this here it is developed, for example. So now the number of users, this number of users trying to use this website at a time, so that in that case it must be in a position. It must be in a position to handle this number of users. Okay. So later the number of users may be increased, right? It must be, the number of users must be increased. Suppose later I'll take now suppose 50,000 guys now. The number of users increased. Still it must be in a position to handle all the users at a time also. It should not become slow, or they should not require any extra servers. It must be able to handle all, right? Later, suppose just imagine guys now, I take after 5 years, for example, I take now 1 lakh users guys now, 1 lakh users, for example. In this time also, it must be in a position to handle all the users if they try to use at a time also. So in that case, it is called scalable website. So Django is well suited. Django is well suited to create scalable websites, guys. Okay, right. Next one, the next one is versatile, right? Next one, versatile. So versatile means like a we can say some actors are versatile actors, right? Nothing but multi-talented actors. So in this case, Django is called a versatile framework. Versatile framework, right? That means by using Django, you can create all types of websites, all domains of websites, right? For example, you can create a government regarding websites, government websites. We can say suppose private websites, for example, like still you can say regarding insurance websites, right? Insurance domain or sales domain, right? For example, banking domain websites, okay, regarding health domain websites, like this, all types of domains websites possible by using Django. That's why Django is called a versatile framework, right? So these are the top five. These are the top 5 features of Django. Fast framework, more secure, fully loaded, scalable, versatile, right? On an interview, we must specify these 5 initially, right? Now, let us see some extra features are there. Some extra features are there, like we say other features. Some extra other features we will see now. So these are common. The first one you can say here, Django is a open and free source. That one we know already, right? Django is a free and open source, right? Just observe, guys, here. So here they at last they developed which one? DSF, right? They developed DSF. And under DSF they are releasing Django as a free and open source to public, because this DSF is this organization is a which one? Non-profitable and independent organization, guys. DSF is a non-profitable. Non-profitable means so they are not expecting any amount from the users who are going to use Django software. That's why they are releasing Django as a free and open source. Free and open source. Okay, right. That's one of the feature, right? Next one. Let us see. It follows a dry principle, guys. Now follows dry principle. Right? Now we know already what is the meaning of dry. Can anyone repeat now what it stands for? It stands for so dry full form. Dry full form stands for
Don't repeat yourself.
don't right. Don't repeat. Don't repeat. Right? Repeat yourself. Right? Yourself. Guys, one more thing. Just I am little bit pure about this spellings. Okay. Ari, can you repeat the spelling here, please, guys?
REPEAT.
Yourself, right? There's no E right here.
No.
Right. Okay. Guys, here, don't repeat yourself. Dry stands for don't repeat yourself. So this means, see, observe, guys, here. Here, this Django framework is fully loaded, right, with a lot of common components. Right? Now, in these websites, we don't repeat which is available already in the framework, right? We don't repeat the database coding manually. We should be in a position to use the code. So that's why it follows which one? Dry principle. We should not repeat the code of which is available in the framework already. That's why we say that it follows a dry principle, guys. Then third one is by default it brings one database, guys. Means without installing any database manually, right? So there is a default database, guys. Here there's a default database here. What is database name here? What is database name here, guys? Default database is there.
SQLite.
Right, SQL, right, SQLite 3, guys. There's a default database that is a SQLite 3. Okay, so you can say supports SQL IT3 or SQLite 3. But in most cases, it is not recommended. In most cases, it is not recommended, guys. Like for complex applications, means for major applications, it is not recommended. So in that case, then which database we use? Which database we use, or which database Django supports, right? So Django supports all databases, guys. Django supports all databases, right? All databases like SQL server, right? Before that one of the main one is MySQL, or you can see here MongoDB, right? MongoDB, right? Oracle. Okay, we can take here Oracle, right? We can take PostgreSQL. Like this, it supports all types of databases, guys. Right? So here default database is the default database is which one? SQLite 3, but supports all types of databases, guys. Okay, right. Now the fifth one is observe, guys. Now it is one of main thing here, Python web framework. See why Django is more popular nowadays, or why most people trying to learn Django nowadays? Because it is a framework of which language? Python language. So then what? So here in Python, it supports very less coding and also very simple syntaxes, guys. I repeat again. So nowadays, most people trying to learn are interested to learn the Django because this framework of which language? Python language. And here Python language. Tell me, guys, what is the main feature of Python language? What is the main and important feature of Python language? What is the main or important feature of Python language? Anyone? There are so many out there. Out of all, one is the main important feature.
Easy to use.
Right, easy to use. Right. You can message here. Otherwise, you can message here instead of speaking. I think it's better to message here, right? Anyone? Anyone?
Interpreter.
Interpreter and somebody messaged here. Less coding, right? Less code. Okay. My question is, what is the main feature of Python language? Right. Sanjay messaged easy to understand, right? It's very easy to understand, correct? Right. Supports in multiple dimensions, right? It supports in multiple dimensions, right? Very user friendly, yes, correct. Very user friendly, right? Right. Now just observe, guys, here. Just to observe now. So right, these all are the which one? Python features only. And one of the main feature is the Python is simple, right? Easy and powerful language, guys. Python is a very simple, right? Very simple and very easy and very powerful language. Very powerful language, right? Very powerful language. Okay. So that means in Python, it supports very less coding, guys. The simple syntaxes. That's why. And also here in the Django we write all Python coding only. In the Django we write all Python coding only. That's why nowadays most of the people interested to learn the which one? Django framework, because in Django we write the Python coding, write the Python language coding. Python language means very simple, very easy. That's all. That means Django also very easy. Okay, right. Next one, the sixth one is all of observe, guys, here. Django supports one inbuilt language, guys. That is ORM language, guys. Django supports one inbuilt layer, or you can say one inbuilt language files. It's called ORM. Right? Anyone message me now? What is the full form of ORM? What is the full form of ORM? ORM? Anyone? What is the full form of ORM, guys? Object relational mapper, right?
Mapping.
Right. Aditi message here, object relational mapper, right? So here the full form of ORM is a object relational mapping. You can say that here ORM stands for object relational mapping, right? It's very useful in the Django. And then what is the use of this language, guys? What is the use of this language, right? Just I give a simple example here. This one discuss very clearly later when I get that which one concept, but now I give just introduction to that one. Okay, just observe, guys, here this language is mainly provides interaction between application data and database data, guys. Just observe now. Just observe here. Now one database is there, right? One database is there in the database, and it's our application. It's our application, right? So in the database, so from this database, if you want to interact with the application data, or else from application data, if you want to interact with this database data, then we use a language called which language here? ORM language, guys. Okay, ORM language. So what is database here? We can use any database. I told you already. Suppose I use now MySQL, for example, right? MySQL, and it is our project, right? It is our Django, right? So yesterday I shown you there are a lot of default files in the Django, guys. The Django project, lot of default files, right? Out of all the files, I'll take now models.py, guys. Models file I take now, right? I take just this all we'll see later. Don't worry, just I'm giving introduction only here. So one file is there. That file is models file, guys. So in the database, whatever you want in the database. Suppose first of all, I want to create a table. For example, imagine, guys, now I want to create a table, or I want to add extra column, or I want to delete an unwanted column, or I want to change the table name, or I want to change the columns names, guys. So these are operations we can do by using which language? Generally by using SQL language we can do, guys, here. By using SQL language in the database, generally you can create the table, right? You can create the table, you can create add the new columns, remove the existing columns, right? Rename the columns. Just imagine it's a table. Allah observe, guys, it's a table. So in this table, my requirement is, suppose I want ENO, I want ename, I want a cell, then I want email, guys. This is requirement, right? This table name, I want something like this EMP. Just imagine now. So for this purpose, by using SQL code, we can develop this table with these columns, right? But as a Django developer, we don't write any SQL language code in the database. As a Django developer, we don't write a SQL language for this purpose. For this all requirement, guys, the corresponding code we write in the models file. For this all requirement of database, we write the code in the models file. In which language? In ORM language, guys. By using ORM language in models file, we write the code. That code will convert into this table. That's all, right? Now just observe, guys, here. Just observe. So how to write here? So I take a class. So what is the table name required here? EMP. Just take here also EMP. Some change will be there while converting table name. Some change will be there that we'll see later. Of models.model, right? Just take an example here. What's the first column in the table? ENO. I take here ENO, that's all, equal to models dot integer field. IF means integer field. Write the full form actually, but I'm taking the shortcut here. Okay. Next one, I take here ename. Ename equal to models dot char field of some max length I am giving 100, guys. Now to our third one, what is required? Sal required, right? I take sal equal to models data integer field, right? The last one is what is there? Email, right? Email equal to models data email field of max length equal to I am giving 100. That's all. Now over. See, it's very easy, right? Compared to SQL language code, it's very simple, guys. It is the ORM language code, that's all. It is the ORM language code. It is the ORM language, that's all. So don't think ORM is it's like again like a very big as SQL or Oracle like that. No, right? It's very simple like this. Now the thing is, directly conversion is not possible, right? Why? Because the Django supports ORM language, whereas database supports which language? SQL language, guys. That's why data conversion is not possible. In this case, so first what do? We convert the language, right? We convert the language. So we take one default folder here. One folder will be there in the application, default folder. This folder name is migrations, right? Migrations. Now, so first of all, this is the first step, this conversion. Then this execution is the second step, guys. So it is the conversion step. Of converting here, this code will be executed on the database, right? Now, how to convert, how to execute? Two steps, right? To convert here, then anyone guess what we do? Anyone guess now how to convert this SQL code? How to make the first operation? How to make the second operation? So how to convert this SQL code? Anyone tell me now? So what do we use to convert here?
Make migrations.
Anyone tell me now? What we do?
Make
We run a
migrations.
command here, right? We run a command here. The command name is make migrations command, guys. When you run the simple command, guys, simple command, then automatically this conversion happens, guys. This ORM to this conversion happens. After converting that code will save in a separate file, guys. Will save in a separate file, right? Separate file. That file is it's also Python file only, guys. It's also .py file only. It's in a Python file. .py file, right? Now over. Now here converted code is there. Now what I want here, this code can directly execute on the database by using a command here. Then what's the command name? Here? We use a migrate command, guys. The command name use the right migrate command, guys. If you run the migrate command, then internally automatically this file code, whatever the converted code is there, that code will be executed in the database so that the table will create initially. That's all. So finally, so this application data, if you want to interact application data with a relational database, then we should use which language, guys? Here ORM language. Why I'm saying this all means some people think ORM is very difficult. Again, we should learn ORM separately. No, not like that. Very simple language. See, any difficulty is there. Whatever you require columns here, those columns we specify, and corresponding field type we specify. It's integer field, it's a char field, again integer field, it's email field. That's all. Very simple language, guys. And on this language, we're going to spend around 2 to 3 hours. Some operations are there. Some ORM operations are there, which are most useful nowadays in interviews, guys. In interviews nowadays, to filter the people, they're asking the ORM operations. I'll give a simple example. What is the ORM operation? See, in previous years or currently also, database developers, they ask a question like this: display employee names. Who is taking highest salary, right? Display employee names who belongs to Mumbai location. Display employee details who is working as a senior software engineer. These are all common questions for database developers actually. Nowadays, the same questions they're asking for the Django developers also, but the solution they required by using ORM language, not by using SQL language, guys. What nowadays internet they're focusing to filter the candidates. On these operations, you're going to spend around 2 to 3 hours compulsorily, because guys, my intention is we should follow the interview trend, because always same interviews are not there. They keep on change the questions and level of the different questions, right? The same case we also follow. That's why the interviews, whatever they're asking, the same things we're going to discuss in every class, guys. Okay, right. So just again, just introduction only. What is ORM and where do we use ORM, guys? Just 2 commands only: make migrations and migrate commands. This concept we see very clearly in a models topic, guys. In a models topic, we see very clearly this concept. Okay, don't worry about this concept. We see very clearly. Fine. Now let's go for the 7th one, guys. Let's go for the 7th one. Okay. One is it follows which architecture? MVT architecture, guys. It follows MVT architecture. MVT architecture. So why I'm saying this one as a future means, so all are the different files. M is a different file, D is a different file, and T also a different. It's a different, right? These all are the different things. These all are the different files. In M, what you write? M stands for models, right? Models, or you can say models.py. Just now we have seen models.py. In models file, what you write? Read the code which belongs to database only. In the models file, read the ORM language code which belongs to which one? Database. So for database coding purpose, a separate file is given. Which purpose here? For database coding purpose. For database coding purpose, guys. Okay. Next one, V is there. So what is the V? V stands for views.py. Views.py, right? Then what is the file? Here it's mainly for business logic purpose, guys. Business logic purpose, business coding, I can say here. Then T is there. What is T here? Templates, right? Templates. Why this one? For the presentation layer purpose. For presentation means UI. You can say here presentation coding purpose, guys. Like this, they are given very clearly all individual files, so that we don't have any confusion. Open the models, write the database coding, close it. Open the views, write the business coding, close it. Open the templates, write the presentation coding, close it, right? Means without having any confusion, we can clearly write the our development code, guys. That's why it's one of the future in the Django. Okay, right. The next one is, guys, next one is see, actually for every website, there must be a lot of security. There must be a lot of security. There's a lot of security, right? So the Django provides some inbuilt libraries to write the security, and also for authentication purpose, authentication and authorization. These two we can implement very easily, guys. Authentication and authorization, these two we can implement very easily by using Django. because of you have a lot of inbuilt code is there. So what is the meaning of authentication? Authentication means it will verify whether he is a valid or invalid user. Valid or invalid user like this. Okay. Then what is the authorization? So means about permissions, right? provides permissions. Provides permissions for the valid users, or you can say authenticated users, right? Authenticated users, authenticated users, right? Authenticated users, for authenticated users, right? So we can provide, we can add these two in our projects very easily. Instead of writing the lot of code, adding these two very easy, right? Next one, ninth one is it's very important, guys. Which one? It provides excellent excellent documentation. It's one of the highest feature, guys. One of the very important feature. Django provides an excellent documentation. Excellent documentation, right? So can anyone guess now how many pages are there in this documentation? Can anyone guess how many pages will be there? How many will be there in this documentation? Just guess the number of the pages. Just guess the number of the pages in this documentation. You reply now, guys. How many pages can you expect in this documentation? Around my expectations. Right. So just observe, guys. Now, just I open the documentation. I open the documentation here. Just observe now. How many pages are there? Just observe here, guys. How many pages are there? You can see the number here. Just see the number. How many are there? Number here. What's the number? What's the number here? Guys, tell me now. What is the number? Guys, can you hear me?
25.
Right. So 2025, right? 2025 number of pages are there in the documentation. Now imagine now how much details they provided. Just imagine now how much details they provided. Right? Just let me open the Zoom it. Okay. And this documentation just released only yesterday, guys. This documentation just released only yesterday only. Only yesterday only. Just see the date. See guys now. What's the date here? See now. June 1st, 2020. It's yesterday. It is released with the highest the number of pages here. In the previous versions are around 200 only. But in this documentation, in this release, they increased the number of pages, guys. Means they provided very in detailed documentation, guys. Right? In detailed documentation. That's why this is one. And so what is now you have what is the use of this documentation, sir, for us? Right? See, I say one thing here. While doing the project, if you have any doubt or any problem, or if you want to know something, then what we do generally, we go to Google, we can search there. But in this case, simply open the documentation and you can read, you can get a lot of knowledge here. In the most cases, the people who are working nowadays, compulsorily they use the documentation. Along with Google, they use this documentation to get more knowledge, guys. Okay, right. And the next one is custom middlewares. You can create a custom middlewares also, guys. You can create custom middlewares also. Now the question is, what is a middleware and what is the meaning of custom middleware, right? So custom middleware means user defined. We can define middlewares also. So what is the use of this middleware, sir? Right? Just observe, guys, here. Just observe now. Just observe, guys, here. I'll show you. I'll tell you clearly what is the use of these middlewares. Right? Got stuck. I open middleware in Django. Just I'll tell you where do we how to use this middleware. Just anywhere, any city you can open. Just observe guys here. We have middlewares here, right? Just observe guys now. We have the middleware right here. We have the middleware here, right? Just a moment, guys. Let me open the Zoom meet. Or else I'll draw the picture. Just observe guys here. So here, just imagine now, it is the browser. Just can you see here? It is the browser. It is the browser, right? Yes, it is opened. Right. Just observe guys here. So it is the browser, right? And it is the server. It is the server, right? So always what we do from browser, we send the request to server, right? All of you guys observe here. This also we see very clearly later. So I am saying it's a browser, right? It's a browser. It is the server, right? It is the server. Because it's our project application, for example, right? The project application. The project application, right? So from browser, we send the request. So generally, it go to server, perform the operation, and finally response comes to our browser, right? Fine. Now, in this case, in this request and response, what is the use of this middleware? That is the question. At the time of this request and response, what is the use of this middleware? That is our biggest question here, right? Now observe guys here. Now just observe. Just observe here. Right. Okay. Just observe guys here. Now request is there, and response is there, right? Response is there. Now I'm sending a request here. Now, so in this case, you can see the middlewares. One is about security middleware regarding sessions. It's common middleware. I told you, right? CSRF token regarding the security, again middleware is there. Authentication middleware is there. Message regarding messages, right? Middleware is there. Xfree middleware is there, right? All right, you can add our different middlewares here. Fine. Now imagine guys. So in my project, I am going to use which one? The CSRF token regarding security, right? So I used it here. I used it in my application. Fine. Now request, at the time of request, first of all, before the request reaching the server or our application, first of all, it will execute all middlewares. It will execute all middlewares, right? Now it's executing which one? CSRF guys. Now observe. Now after executing, it will go now. Now here this token is there. Now it applies on the project. Applies on the project, right? Now, for example, imagine now here I remove this token, guys. Now I remove this CSRF token, right? Now it's not there. Now I send the request, normal request, right? Now again, it executes all the middlewares. Now what happened here? This token is not there, right? CSRF is not there. And it's going here. Now here you use the token, right? It will throw error. It will throw error here because this functionality is not executed. This functionality is not executed, so you cannot use here. You cannot use here. That's all, right? Let us see here. Let us see now which one messages, right? You can see message middleware is there. So messages means generally we can see at the time of login. If you enter either wrong username or wrong password, it displays simply incorrect, right? Incorrect details or incorrect username or password like this, right? So if I refresh the page, then this message automatically deletes, right? If you refresh the browser, this message deletes automatically. So it's called the flash message, guys. It's called a flash message, guys, right? Flash message. Okay. These messages, if you want to implement, then we should use a message middleware, guys. If you want to develop the flash messages, right? Suppose through the Gmail, if you send any email to anyone, the display message. What's the message? Suppose something like mail sent something, right? Displays one message. Mail has been sent or mail sent like this, or message sent like this, right? If you refresh the window, it also closes automatically. These all are the which one flash messages. If you want to implement these flash messages in our project, then compulsorily we use this middleware, right? Now I send the request, it's going now, execute the middleware, message middleware. Now that functionality used here, then it works and displays the messages. Suppose I don't use this middleware here. I don't use this middleware here, right? This middleware. And it's coming here, executing all. It is not there, right? Remaining executing, it is going there. But you use it here flash messages, it will throw again error, right? Like that here, each one has a inbuilt functionality is there. Inbuilt functionality which is common for every project. Okay, right? So like this here, we are going to create our custom middlewares, guys. So one day we'll see how to create on our own middleware, how to execute our own middleware as per our requirement, guys. That also we see. Okay, so like this here, there are lot of features are there. Lot of features, right? So what's the first feature, guys? Here, repeat. What's first one? It's a free and open source. Then it follows by principle. Data default database SQLite3 supports all databases, and Django is very easy because in the Django write the Python language, Python simple language, right? Next supports ORM language. What is the full form here? Object relational mapping. And why this one? It's mainly used to provide interaction between application data and any database data, right? It follows MVT architecture. Next, we can simply implement authentication and authorizations, guys, right? Authentication means it verifies whether the user is valid or invalid user, and authorization means the authenticated user get the permissions. Next one, it provides excellent documentation, and we can create which one custom middlewares also, right? So these are the which one some of the other features. But in interview, guys, just observe now the final point here. In interview, if they ask us Django features, first of all we specify these 5 features. Of 5 features, then keep on continuing these features also. So generally don't stop by saying these 5 features, right? Just keep on continue, then they can say okay, stop it, right? So these are the simply 15 features, guys. Okay, right? Somebody messaged, just go to the messages here. Yes, presentation coding is UI. Yes, Aditi asked one question, that is so presentation coding nothing but which coding here we write the UI coding only, guys, not separate one. For this one we write the UI coding only, right? Sir, somewhere I read that views are using for the presentation, right? Very good question, guys. So in MVC, just observe, guys, here I give a simple difference between MVC and MVT architecture, guys. In MVC, just observe, guys, here lot of the doubt is what is difference, main difference between MVC and MVT. In MVC, in MVC also model, right? Why this model? Same for database coding purpose only. Then here view. So why this view here? In MVC, the view is used for the presentation coding guys now. Clear, right? In MVC, the views is used for the presentation coding, and then C. C means controller or control, right? Controller, something, right? Controller. So in this case, it's for which one? Business coding purpose, right? It's for the business coding purpose. In MVC, when you come to the MVT, here model is same, guys. In both the cases, model is same. For which purpose here? Database coding purpose, right? Database coding purpose. Okay. Right now in MVT, we talk about the views, right? Views, and here views is mainly for which one? Business logic coding purpose, not for the presentation coding, right? Business coding. And templates is there. Templates for which purpose here? Templates. Templates is for which one? Presentation coding, guys. Presentation coding, right? Yes, it is one of the very simple difference between MVC and MVT, guys. Just observe now. Okay, MVT and MVC. So the file name same. In the MVC views is there. In MVT views is there. But in MVC views is used for the presentation coding purpose. In MVT views is used for which one? For business coding purpose, guys. Okay. Right, thank you. Fine. So these are the one question asked by. So where is MVC architecture used, guys? So some frameworks follows MVC architectures, but our Django follows a MVT architecture. In our Django, we don't use MVC because Django follows MVT architecture only, not the MVC architecture. Okay, right. So these are the some of the different which one Django features. Okay, all right. And one more point, guys. Here, I'm preparing the documentation also, guys. So yesterday, someone asked, sir, can you please provide a Google Classroom, right? Google Classroom, right? Some people don't know about this one, I think, right? So at the end of the session, I'll tell you how to create a Google Classroom, and there I can share the documentation also. See, about yesterday class, right? I prepared documentation yesterday class. Yesterday what happened? Features, right? And day before also, I developed the documentation also. I prepared all the documentations, guys, and every day after the session over, I prepared the documentation like this. I shared in the Google Classroom. Okay, right. Now we are clear about the features, right? At the end, just remember me. Let's talk about this classroom. Just remember me after class. Okay, right. Next one, which is the most important, is how to install the Django, sir. How to install the Django. This is one of the main important here. Why important? To practice the Django projects, right? Without this one, not possible. Okay, right. Now observe, guys, here. Now my base question is, what should be installed already to install which one? To install Django software. To install Django software. What should be installed already to install Django software? Now, yes, a lot of people messaging here. What is required compulsorily, guys? Compulsorily, the Python is mandatory. Compulsorily, Python should be installed, right? Python must required, guys. Python must required here. Python must required. Right? I'll tell you now why Python must required. Why Python must required, tell you here. So now I think you know people, right? How to install the Python software, we know. Now tell me, what is the official website of Python language? For Python software, what is the official website? You know message.
Python.org.
What is the
Python.org.
So just right. Just you go to the this location and you can download the Python software. You can install very easily. There's no problem while installing the Python software. Just download and click next. That's all. Now Python is installed. Python is installed. The question is how to install the Django. Now in my machine Python is there. Imagine guys now in my machine Python is there. In my machine Python is there. Right? Then how to install the Django? How to install the Django? Right? Now observe here. First of all here. So see why Python is required compulsorily to install the Django software. Recently one person messaged me. In question they asked in interview why Python must require to install the Django, because he asked you are not going to work with Python language. You are not going to develop the Python applications. Just you are going to do only Django application only. You are going to work with only Django. Then why Python is must required? Why Python is must required? Can you tell me now? Anyone? Why Python must required? Anyone?
Because we use many Python Python libraries here.
Right. We use many Python libraries, right? Means we use many Python modules. Guys, tell me now what are the different types of Python modules? Python modules, how many types are? Just I'm giving introduction to work with to do which one Django installation, guys. To get the clarity about this installation. So this knowledge required. Right? Python modules. So actual 3 types are there, guys. We can divide as 3 types. The first one is a predefined modules, are we can say inbuilt modules also. You can say inbuilt modules or simply you can say predefined modules. The second one is user defined modules, guys. User defined modules. Then third one is which one? Third party modules, right? The third one is third party modules. Third party modules, right? So what are the examples of predefined modules? Like a math module, or date module, or calendar module, or daytime module, or RE module. RE stands for, RE means regular expressions, guys. Regular expressions. Like this, a lot of modules are there. Those are called predefined modules. That means these all modules come along with the Python software. These all modules come along with the Python software. Fine. Now, what are the user-defined modules, guys? There are no inbuilt user-defined modules, right? Suppose now what do? I open any Python file. Just observe, guys, here. I open any Python file. Anyone Python file, right? Python file is opened. Now just write a simple program. Just example I'm giving. Just A equal to 10, B equal 20, something C equal to A plus B. That's all. Then a print of A, right? Now for this page, for this file, whatever the name I give, there's example of user-defined module. A module means Python file only. I'm giving the name, for example, here my file. I can take here edition file .py. .py is not required. Already it's a Python type, right? File .py. That's all. Now this is an example of which one user-defined module, right? Like that. For our file, whatever the name we keep, there's example of which one user-defined module, right? User-defined modules. So no inbuilt names. We can give any name as per the requirement, right? Now coming to third one. Guys, here. If you see the first one, these modules come along with the software. And here I given the name. What's the name I have taken there? addition file .py, right? Like this. This file we create manually. These are coming by default. I create manually. Whatever third-party modules, guys. Third-party modules means some other people developed and make available to Python developers. Some other people develop these modules and make available to our Python people, Python developers. Now, tell me some of the third-party packages. Guys, tell me now some of the third-party packages. Repeat now, third-party packages. Which is me, right? NumPy. Google said that NumPy, correct? NumPy. Other one. Give reply, guys. Rishikesh said that pandas. Very good. Pandas. Just message here, guys. Just message, please. NumPy, pandas. You give reply. Messages. NumPy, pandas. Right, very good. Matplotlib, very good. Matplotlib, right? Matplotlib, right? Matplotlib, right? Very good. Flask also. Madhu has given answer. Flask, very good. Flask also one of third-party package, right?
SQL Alchemist.
Someone said that. SQL, right? We can say MySQL. MySQL is a third-party package, right? You can say here MySQL client also third-party package here. Next one, MySQL DB, MySQL DB, right? Next one, you can say here CX Oracle, right? Like this, there are a lot of third-party packages, and here also. See here, so many given the answers for the example of third-party packages, but here all people forgot for Django, right? So all given a lot of answers, guys. I wrote only few names, but all people having a lot of answers, but you forgot which one. Go with message me now. Django also very good. Okay. Django also which one third-party package of Python, guys, right? That's why see now Django is of which one? Django is a package of which language? Python language. Django is a package of which language here? Django language, so Python language. That's why to install the Django software compulsorily, what is required here? Python is mandatory. I don't know Django. For this all, what is mandatory here? Python language is mandatory. Because these all are the packages of which language here? Python language. That's the answer. The question is, why Python language? Why Python software required to install the Django software? Because Django is a package of which language? Python language. That's why without Python installation, Django installation is not possible. It's not possible, right? Now coming to point, guys, here. Just coming to point here. Now, in my case, I have the Python, right? We have the Python. Now the question is, where is Python installed? Where is Python installed, right? Where is Python installed? Now, guys, tell me now how to get a Python path. How to get Python path? Someone unmuted the mic. Please mute the mic. If anyone has given reply through the mic after answer over, just mute the mic, okay, please. If anyone given the reply through the mic after answer over, just immediately unmute the mic, okay? Okay, thank you. Right, tell me now. So where is Python installed? Where is Python installed? How to know my Python path, guys? How to know my Python path? Can anyone tell me now? I want to know where the Python is installed. I want to know where my Python is installed. Is there any simple way to get the Python path? Anyone? Is there any simple any package or any function? Is there any function to get the Python path? Come on, guys. the session must be in a two-way communication, right? So that you get interest, you get the knowledge. If I speak only throughout the 2 hours, in these 2 hours, some people I will get bored. Some people will not show interest. Some people keep on watch but not understanding, right? So my intention is always the session must be in two-way communication. It may be through the messages, or sometimes maybe through the mic, right? Someone messaged the Python path, right? I want to know where the Python is installed. Any function we use, guys? Any function is there? Any function is there? Right? Sanjay messaged the open file location in the desktop, right? It's correct. But through the any function can open. Type Python path in a command prompt, right? By using search, right? Now observe guys here. Just observe now. Just all of you observe guys here. Just all of you observe. Just all of you observe here. Or I open this Python. This ideally I open again. Is there any function, inbuilt function? Is there any inbuilt function to get a Python path? Means I want to know what is my current working path. Current directory path I want to know. All of you observe guys clearly. All of you observe guys clearly. I want to get a current working directory path. I want to get a current working directory path, guys. Right, there are different ways are there, but one function is there. Tell me the function name. So first of all of you just read this one, right? What is there? I want to get the current directory path, current working directory, right? Anyone guess now? From this one, our answer is there. Here only answer is there. Right? OS path, right. Get directory, okay, right. Now observe guys here. Just observe now. Import OS, then OS data get CWD. Now what I said here, observe clearly now. Right? Get current working directory, get CWD, right? Get CWD, right? Now this is the path of the Python. C users, wiki, app data, local programs, Python, and Python 3.7 I am using here. Now I open this location. All of you observe guys now. First, I said that first go to the C drive, right? All of you observe now. Tell me now, of C drive, what is there? In that path after C, what is there? What is there after path after C? Users, right? Users is there. After users, what is there? The path, right? Users is there. Then what is there? Venki, right? Venki is there. After Venki, now what is there, guys? Here, app data. Now here we have to think it. App data is there, right? But here I have a doubt, guys. Now I have a doubt here. What is the doubt? It's all are the folders, right? It's also folder. App data. But if you observe the color of the folder, here yellow color is there, right? But here light yellow color is there. The color of the folder. Here complete yellow color is there. These are all folders, right? But here very light color is there. And again here yellow color is there, right? So what is the meaning of this one? What is the meaning of this light color? You want to guess now? What is the meaning of this light color? What it represents here? Right. Going to reply. It is which one? Hidden folder. Right. Hidden folder means by default this folder is not available, not visible. Just I go to the views in the top view, Then you can see here, hidden items is there. By default, it is unchecked, right? Now I uncheck this one. All of you observe guys here. Observe here, uncheck. Then if uncheck, then it disappears. App data. App data disappears. Now you can see, you cannot see app data. You cannot see app data. Means now from app data onwards, the path is hidden. That's all. From app data onwards, the path is hidden. Means now what is visible now? What is visible now? Just a C drive, right? C drive. Then what is there here? Suppose users, right? Users is there. Then what is there? Just Venki is there. That's all. Venki, right? After Venki, what is happening here? The entire path is hidden path. This point, remember, after some time, again talk about the hidden path, guys. Okay, right. Now, so I want to show the path, right? Then go to the view tab in the top. Go to the view tab and I check here. Okay, now click on the hidden items, guys. Now you can see app data. Open the app data, then local. Open the local, then come down. You can see here programs. In the local folder, programs folder is there. In the programs folder, Python folder is there. In the Python folder, we have Python. It's not Python 37, guys. It's a Python 3.7. Python 3.7, right? It's a version number. Open the Python folder. In this Python folder, there are some default folders are there. Some default folders and files are right. It is in this location the Python is installed, right? In this location, my question is where Python is installed, right? In this location, my Python is installed, guys. That's all. Right now, I repeat again. All of you observe now. What is the mandatory compulsorily? Python must required. And here, after installing the Python software, in Python folder, there must be one file that is a pip. In Python, compulsorily pip must be there. In Python must have pip. Now the question is, what is the meaning of pip and why it is required? So actually here pip stands for package installer for Python. Package installer for Python, right? So now you understood, right? Why it is required? If you want to install any third-party package, guys, if you want to install and manage any third-party package, compulsorily pip required. Compulsorily pip required. Compulsory pip. I repeat again. All of you observe here. Now Python is over, right? Now I got the Python location also. Fine. Now second thing is pip required. Where is the pip? The Python must require pip. Right? Pip stands for package installer for Python. Now the question is where is a pip installed? That's the second question now, right? The first one is where Python is installed. The second one is where pip is installed, because a Python and pip both required to install any Python package, installing and managing purpose, right? Now I want the location of pip. Anyone guess now? Where the pip is located? Anyone guess now, guys? There is the pip, because you are using Python regularly, right? Now my question is where the pip is required, is installed. In Python folder, right? In Python folder, pip is installed. Now someone messaged here, in Python folder pip is installed, right? Right. Now in Python folder, see, it's a Python folder, right? In Python folder, tell me now, where is the pip here? Where is the pip? Where is the pip here, right? So here DLLs, doc, include, libs, right? Scripts, TCL, tools under these files. But here, where is the pip? Right? Fine. Now in Python folder, one more folder is there. That name is called scripts folder. In this folder, we can have pip, right? In this folder, in the scripts folder, we have the pip, guys. Here lot of files are there. These are all the files we'll see after some time. First of all, what do we have? Pip is available, right? In Python, scripts is there. In the scripts, pip is there, right? So it is the which path? Pip path, right? It is the pip path, guys, right? So Python path required, pip path required. Both the paths required compulsorily. These two paths must be set as a default path, so that these all are installing very easy. I repeat again, both the Python path plus pip path, these two paths must be set as a default path, so that we can work with all the packages, guys. Easily can work with. And generally, these two set automatically when doing the Python installation. These two set as a default path automatically. But sometimes the pip will not set as a default path. In that case, what do we do? That we see now, right? So there are two cases. If they set as a default path already, then what do we do? Right? Second one, if they did not set as a default path, then what we do? So second, both we see, guys, both we see now. If they set default path already, then what do we do? If they did not set as default path, then what do we do? Both we see now. Now they set as a default path. Now we can install Django. We can install Django now. Install Django. Right? Both Python and pip, both these paths are set as default path already. Then we can install the Django. Right? Then, so for Python, official website is python.org, right? For Python, all of you observe, guys, now. For Python, official website, which one? That we know, right? python.org. From there, we get the Python software. What about the Django? From where we get the Django? Let me know, guys. From where we get the Django? Python we get from this website. But my question is, from where we get the Django? From where we get the Django? Let me guys now. TFS, right? Okay. Any other? From where you install the Django software? Right. right. Fine. So what do we do? Open the command prompt. We go to our command prompt. There we type this pip install. Which one? Django. Pip install Django. That's all. Just type these three commands and just click enter. That's all. It automatically installs. But the question is, Django has a different versions, right? First of all, I show you one, guys, now. First of all, what do? I open the command prompt. I'll show you now. I open the command prompt. All of you guys here. This installation is the most important. Increase the font size. Right. Observe guys here. What is the Python path or Python path? This path, right? Or Python path is this path. Now, so in the command prompt, we never change the which one is path. Why? Because so on the command prompt, what is visible? Users, Winky. Both are visible, right? Means these two are visible on the command prompt. Remaining is not visible. Remaining is not visible because from app data onwards, the path is hidden. The path is hidden. That means this path is also already available. Where in this location it is already there. Like here app data is there, right? Next one local is there. Next one programs is there. Next one something Python is there, and Python 3.7 is there. It's a hidden path, right? These two are visible, and from here it is a hidden path. That's why we never change the path while installing the Python packages, because by default path is available. Okay, right? So I came here, then pip install Django. That's all. Pip install Django. If I click enter, then what will happen? Which version of Django will install? Because I am not saying the which version to be installed here. Just I am saying only Django. But which version will install here? That is the point, right? If you type simply pip, all of you observe now. If you type simply pip install Django, then in this case it installs the latest version of Django. The latest, right? Latest version of Django will install automatically. If you don't specify the number, then by default latest version of Django will install. Right. But now I don't want the latest version. I want some previous versions, guys. I want now the latest version. Just imagine now it is the, for example, 3.0 or 3.1. Just imagine like this, right? Like this is happening. But I don't want this latest version. My requirement to use the 1.9 version or 1.11 version. In that case, how to do it, right? Simply pip install Django double equal to 1.9. That's all. Now click enter. If I click enter, then automatically 1.9 will install. 1.9 will install. I want 1.11, then 1.11. I want 2.1, then 2.1. I want 1.4, like 1.4, something like this we use, right? In this case, what happens now? Django with this version will install, not the latest version. If you don't specify any number, then automatically it takes the latest version. It takes the latest version. All of clear, guys, right here. Now I show you manually how to install the Django, right? Before installing the Django, in my machine, what version is available? I want to check it now. I want to check it, right? Django -admin version. What is the meaning of Django admin? That we see after a few minutes. Okay. Now it displays the version which is available in my machine already. Right. Currently I have 3.0. Currently I have 3.0 version, right? 3.0 version. Now, so I don't want 3.0. I want to go with either 1.9, 1.7 like this. Then pip install Django double equal to 1.9. I'm using, guys. I'm going to click here 1.9. Now, if I click enter, then first what does it do? It will remove the existing version, guys. First of all, it will uninstall the existing version, then it will install, guys. So it does the two operations now because already I have Django 3.0. If I click enter, first of all, it will uninstall the existing version and install the specified version, guys. The same thing will happen if I click enter. But one main important point here, we must require the internet to install the packages, guys. Without internet, if you try it, it will throw retrying error. So what is mandate compulsorily here? Compulsorily required internet guys here. Without internet, it will throw error. Now I click enter. I click enter. All of you observe guys here. All of you observe clearly. So it takes a little bit time now. See, first of all, it's collecting the specified version from this location. It's collecting the specified version from this location. Right. It takes just a few moments. Just observe, guys. Just keep on observing here. So it may take little time, but if you see once, then you get the some knowledge, right? You get the process. You can understand the process. Right? That's why it may takes time, but I am doing manually. For every example, guys, for every project, I do everything manually. I don't just open the previous files. I don't explain the previous files, because if I explain the previous files, some maybe understand. The other people get the confusion, right? My intention is by end of the video session, by end of the batch, nobody must have the confusion or the doubts. Everyone must have the clarity. I never open the previous files, guys. I never see up to now. I finished 70 batches. Means for every example, I have 70 times, sir. For every project, I have 70 times, sir. But I never open the previous files, sir. Just I do everything manually. At the end, I told you we do somewhat one or two examples of projects, right? That also I do manually. Every line I write manually here. So whatever we learn completely. That's all. Should learn completely. If some error is there are some options, guys. So don't worry about this one, because in every version they're adding some new requirements, right? See, observe now. So installing Django. Now what happened here? It found the existing installation, which one 3.0. So uninstalling the 3.0. I told you, right? First of all, it uninstall the 3.0, install the 1.9. So successfully what happened here? Uninstalled Django 3.0. Now last step is there. What is the last step? Installed which one? 1.9 it displays now. As today you all try to install this one, okay? Just don't make more delay. Today only, I think already some people installed, I know, but remaining all people also today only install it, because maybe tomorrow onwards we see the program slowly one by one. Last step is there. It's taking a little bit time, but we'll try first time installation. It doesn't take this much time, guys. Just take only fraction of seconds only. When you do the first time installation, it doesn't take more time. This takes fraction of seconds only. someone messaged Dilip Dasari, sir, what do we learn tomorrow? Right, guys. Tomorrow we start the concepts, guys. Today installation over, right? Tomorrow we see what is project, what is application, what are the default files. Tomorrow we start the topics. So tomorrow we start the time exactly 7 a.m. guys. Tomorrow onwards, the batch starts exactly 7 a.m. The last one. Here the first step is collecting the 1.9, and the second one is found existing version, removed existing version, right? And the last one is install the which one, the specified version. Now it's installing, that's what it's taking that time. Up to here it is trying to delete the existing version, right? But now installation takes a little bit time. Now the question is, guys, observe here. So what is the meaning of Django admin? What is the meaning of Django admin? So here, now all of you observe, guys, now, whenever I install the Django software, whenever I do Django installation, then automatically one file will install, guys. Observe here. In the same, this folder only, in this folder only, this file will be created. This file will be created. What's the file name here? Django admin file. This file will be created when we do Django installation. And this file name we use this file name. What is the file name? Django admin. This file use the one to check the version. To check the version, we use that file name. What is the file name? Django admin. The same file name we use. The same file name we use to create the project also. To create the project also we use, right? How to use the Google Classroom, sir. Just wait a few minutes after installing this one, then you jump to that part. Okay, just let us see this part installation. I'll tell you. Right, guys, observe now. Okay, now what is installed here? 1.9 is installed, right? 1.9 is installed. While installing, these warnings are common, guys, because of the changing versions, right? So these warnings are common. Now 1.9 is installed, right? Now I want to check my current version. I want to check my current version here, right? Current version. Now observe, guys, here. Same. How to check the current version? What is the file name here? Django admin space -version. -version. Now it gives the in my machine, the current version in my machine. Right. Observe, guys. All of you can observe here. All of you guys can observe here. Right. Now 1.9 is installed here. This is the way how to install the Django software. How to install the Django software. Okay, so this installation is very easy. This installation is very easy when if both Python path, Django path set as default path already, then we can do Django installation very easily, right? Suppose the Django path or the Python path, all of you now. Suppose the Python path or pip path is not set as a default path, then what do we do? We set those paths manually and install Django. That's all. Install Django. We set it manually. We set both the paths as default path manually and install Django, guys. The question is how to set both as a default path, right? Default path. Just all of you have to get just a few minutes and now it's over. Just a few minutes, right? So what's the first path here? Python path. Second path is which one? Script path, right? These two paths we have set manually. After setting manually, then we can do Django installation. Now, how to do manually path, right? Then just all of you observe now, go to the my computer properties. All of you observe now. All of you observe here. I write all the step by step, guys. Don't worry. Go to my computer properties, right? Then in properties, in my computer properties, then select what is there here? What is there here? Select which one? Advanced system settings. System settings, right? And then here you can see one name is there, variable name. What's the variable name here? Environment variables, right? Here you can see now user defined variables are there, system defined variables are there. Now we go to user defined variables. Now here one variable is there. What's the variable name? Path is there already. Path is there already. If path is there already, then click on the editor, select it, click on the edit, then take the first path here. In this case, already path is there, right? Python path is there, script path is there. All of you observe, guys, here. Python path is there, script path is there, right? Script path is there. Now, suppose imagine now both are not there. Then click on the new, and here take the first path. Copy and paste the first path. What's first path here? Python path, right? So take the first Python path, and just paste here. Now again take the new, second new, again take the new, then paste the which one? Script path, right? Enough. And click OK. That's all. For example, this variable is not there. You did not find this variable. Then create new variable. Give the name path. Then so take the first path, guys, here. What's the first path? Python path. Take the first path, Python path, right? Copy the Python path here. Then separator is a semicolon. All of you observe, guys, now. Semicolon must be taken. Right? Then take the second path. Which path? Script path, right? Take both the paths. Now all of you observe now. Take this one and paste here. Now you can see here up to here Python path is there, and from here script path is there, and both are separated by which one? Which one is there here? Semicolon. That's all. Now click OK. That's all. Enough. This is the way how to set Python as a default path, guys. This is one way. And one more way is there, guys. One more way is there. That is just go to the control panel. Go to the control panel. All of observe, guys, here. Second way is there. There are a lot of ways are there, but these are the main things, right? In the control panel, just go to the uninstall program. In this one, just go to the Python. This is the Python. Go to the Python here. It's taking a little bit time. Guys, what is the Python? So here Python will be there, right? Right. Here Python is there. And click on the change. All of you observe now. Click on the change here. Click on the change. Right. Now I'm going to add path, right? All of you observe, guys, now. I'm going to add path, right? That's why click on the modify button. Click on the modify option, right? Then see, I want to add two things, right? First, I want to add Python. I want to add script, right? Script means why script for pip purpose, right? That's why take this pip, select the pip. Next, select the add Python. Right? So I'm adding Python, and also I'm adding the which one? Pip. Pip means script file, right? Then click install. So that here both Python and pip will set as a default path, guys. After setting default path, then what we do again? Same. Install the Django, either latest version or old version, right? All of you observe guys here. All of you understand guys right here. Okay. So this is the way how to install the Django software.